We know Indian motorcycle Scout. We know the 1,133 cubic centimeters engine and the power it produces, because we've had it on the Cycle World dyno many times. We know the chassis and when the pegs scrape, because little more than the new subframe for chopped-fender models has changed over the 7 years and thousands of miles we've spent testing on this platform. So what's new and why are we here now? Well, recent market offerings from other manufacturers are changing what it means to be a cruiser. And that brings their new bikes into territory that the Scout has inhabited for years. With the introduction of Honda's 2020 Rebel 1100 and Harley-Davidson's 2022 Nightster, it seems the mold for modern cruisers is changing. But the Scout hasn't needed to change, at least not yet. With liquid cooling and a twin-shock chassis design, the Scout has been walking the line between tradition and performance with admirable balance. But little has changed since the Scout was introduced in 2015. Sure, there have been minor updates in things like suspension internals and the addition of ABS. But the hard parts at the core, the engine and frame, remain the same. Now, with Honda and Harley knocking on Indian's door, can a new styling package on the 7-year-old platform still compete with more modern machines from two of the world's largest motorcycle manufacturers? Indian invited us to Ventura, California, a beautiful town right on the coast known for its hotels and beaches, to ride the new Scout Rogue. We were greeted by a bunch of the new models lined up in the parking lot, a row of bikes with blacked-out components varying only in gas tank color, some blue, some black, some gray. The 60 models only say Indian on the tank. Larger displacement models display the Scout denomination as well. With a 16-inch rear spoked mag and a 19-inch front, the Rogue has a different stance than other Scouts we've seen, but something feels very familiar. The mini-ape hanger handlebars, the steep-backed solo seat, even the aggressive lines on the headlight cowl. By God, it's Indian's take on the 2016 Victory Octane. And that isn't a bad thing. The Octane had more potential than it was able to realize in its short 2-year lifespan. Sneaky. Sort of. The Victory Octane was introduced 1 year after the Scout with slightly larger displacement and a more aggressive aesthetic, though the two models shared roughly 35% of their parts. The Octane delivered 8.2% more power, 8.8% more torque, and 3 degrees of additional cornering clearance, all while weighing 26 pounds less ready to ride. At this point, it's surprising that it took Indian this long to draw on Octane DNA. It's also disappointing that we don't see more performance-minded design, like reduced weight, improved power, and increased lean angle. My experience testing the Scout 60, with its smaller 999 cubic centimeters displacement and 5-speed gearbox, has shown it to be a very similar experience to riding the Scout until you reach 70 miles per hour. After that, the lack of 6th gear and reduced displacement put you outside the engine's smooth-running rev range. I chose a Scout Rogue in Storm Blue, and the first thing I noticed, after a year or so without riding a Scout model, is its low seat height. At 25.6 inches, the Rogue seat is over an inch lower than Honda's Rebel 300, but the very thing that makes this model so approachable for many new or shorter riders has me, at 6'4", cramped up with my knees well above the gas tank even with forward controls. I had